Fun fact, the hardest part of an Apex fight is the end of the fight. That's because 99% of the fights that are won, or in your case lost, will be up close, face to face in front of your enemy. The end of the fight is the toughest because even when you're doing everything right, like playing cover, keeping your health up, and keeping yourself safe, people can still force you to take damage. The closer you are, the easier it is to force something. This is the most important concept to understand and practice when it comes to fighting in Apex Legends. So let's practice this right now. I want you to, as hard as you can, flex and push on your stomach. For most of you, nothing happened. But for some of you, you just shit your pants.
I just crapped on myself.
That's because the turtle that you were holding inside was close enough to where if you forced a push, damage would be felt in your underwear. What is going on, Legends? Coach District here, and today we're going to be breaking down, examining, and really diving on into that deep end of the kiddie pool as to what is and what isn't letting players get close, how they're able to create an opening to get close, and once they are close, how are they forcing damage onto their opponents while still maintaining their health to keep on fighting. Today isn't necessarily going to be a whole entire guide on how to fight up close. That video is going to be coming on later on this series here. So if you do want to make sure that you end up seeing that, make sure to hit that like button so that YouTube knows to keep showing you videos like this in the future. Make sure that you're subscribed so that you are notified whenever we do upload new content, and make sure to also comment down below why you think you are struggling in Apex Legends, because I'm going to be picking one lucky person in the comment section every single video and giving them a free coaching session and helping them make those improvements that they're so desperate to make in Apex. We are going to be reacting and breaking down to two people with two completely different playstyles in Apex Legends so that you can better understand what playstyle might better suit you and also how to actually use that playstyle properly. I cannot stress this enough. I coach people every single day who are either, trying to use movement, and instead of using movement, they're trying to abuse movement, and it's causing them so many different issues. As well, we do have people who are using Gamesense who just can't quite pick up on where they should be positioning themselves, how they should be pushing up, and overall just taking fights as a regular type of Apex player. Today, we're going to be reacting to Lemonhead, by far one of the craziest movement players that I have ever seen in my Apex career. Also, the most consistent movement player that I've seen in my Apex career. And as well, we will also be reacting to His Watson, the former multiple #1 Apex Predator in the world, who also came MVP in one of our recent pro leagues for ALGS in Apex. Both of these guys are two completely different types of players, but they make the game look so incredibly easy. And without further ado, let's start breaking down what they are doing to make the game so incredibly easy. Let's get into it. Starting off with some Lemonhead gameplay. We are watching a clip from a month old. This is going to be ranked gameplay, so the people that we're going to be fighting are going to be a little bit of a higher skill level than when you're fighting people in pubs. As well, the people that you're going to be fighting are going to be playing a lot more methodical, a lot more position-based, a lot more passive, and a lot more aggressive. So there's going to be a lot more quality type of fights within these Lemonhead clips here. Same as His Watson, we're going to be hopping into his ranked Predator gameplay as well. Guys, if you are not subbed, make sure to sub to Lemonhead. This guy has insane content on the tube of the Yube. Let's hop right on into his video.
Take angles to the right side.
I'm watching.
Something that we'll just briefly say as we're kind of going through his intro right, that was a crazy clip. Something that we're just going to quickly go over as we're going through his intro right here is that Lemonhead does a bunch of stuff that normal players should not be doing. Like this right here, jumping on top of two players and being stuck in the open with nowhere to play and nothing to keep yourself safe when that team has no damage done to them initially. A normal player will never be able to do that. Let me move my camera. So keep in mind, a lot of these things that we're going to be watching today is going to be exclusive to the higher level player. So this should be a kind of goal for you to reach yourself towards until you can get super consistent with the skills that Lemonhead has. You shouldn't be doing the exact same things. You should be taking concepts of how he plays and trying to work it in and implement it into your gameplay. If you go too hard too quick, it's gonna be like you're working out at the gym. You're gonna tear a fucking muscle trying to hit that 300-pound bench press. It's not gonna work. Start slow, work your way up. Let's get into it. Gibby right out in the open. Keeps him locked in. Beautiful movement. Something that Lemonhead is so good at doing is he's able to always keep his body moving. And he does this by using a handful of different techniques. One of them is bunny hopping. That's a very, very common mechanic that we'll see used in almost all of his clips. That's what's keeping the momentum. As well, he's really good at generating momentum. That's a bunny hop right there, right? He's also really good at generating momentum. Oh, that was so sexy. Really good at generating momentum from things like wall jumping, jump pads, stims, zip lines, and other types of, things that are within the game. All right, hopping right on in. So we're starting off with some space right now. As you can see, it's kind of hard to get damage here when there's space between you and your opponents, right? Space actually allows you to use cover. So something that's super important that we're going to be looking at and doing is we are going to be engaging players from where we can see them. And our engagement is going to disengage those players. Lemonhead right here starting off with a couple shots with the triple take. If that player stays there, he's going to get swung and dies. So he's going to back off. He's going to remove himself from that fight. He's going to look away. And that's going to be an opening for Lemonhead and his movement demon friends to start crossing through that very dangerous open area for free. So your engagement lets you move up most of the time. Keep that in mind as a regular player. As he's swinging into the open, he's also always trying to be hard to hit and unpredictable. You'll notice when he's in the open, he's always going to be hard to hit.
I can't believe that guy did not.
Something that regular players shouldn't be doing is jumping into the open where you have no cover. You need to have something that's going to keep you safe at all times. You cannot be jumping on top of a fair fight if they are fully healed, you're fully healed. It's just there's too much risk to reward ratio here. So if you're gonna break the rule of not using cover, you got to follow the Lemonhead strategy, and you have to create an exception. Instead of not being able to get shot because I'm using cover, I'm going to be hard to shoot by using advanced movement.
I'm gonna go airborne. Go back.
Trying to get his angle. He couldn't see them, so he's just going to back off. Nice. This is something else that a lot of players don't really practice. They know where players are, but they don't try to get angles. He was looking for his angle. He didn't have one. He backed off. He looked for something else, and boom, sure enough, he caught something. Now, nothing's happening, so because that team is playing passive, it's going to let Lemonhead swing in. Lemonhead doesn't like that he's not able to get anything done, so he's just going to back off, committing to a fight that you're losing. Like right there, Lemonhead started off getting shot. He wasn't ready. He didn't commit. He removed himself using his movement, and now that he's healthy, he can get back in. Again, when we're fighting players, we do not want to lock ourselves into the open. I'll back this up a couple seconds. So now, we're locked in the open. There's no cover for us to play here. What does Lemonhead do? He uses momentum keeping mechanics. Most of the time, this is going to be a bunny hop. Sometimes it can be something that will give you momentum. So he might go into a wall jump. He loses his momentum, goes back into a wall jump. Right here, he's going to bunny hop, keeps himself hard to hit, tap strafing around, resets. He's going to start healing, and now that he's getting healthy, he can start working his way back in. Also, I've never seen this video before. This is the first time I'm watching it, and probably you as well. What the heck? Perfect. Off that damage, we're using it to work our way in, because as you can see, those players are backing off. So keeping in mind, the closer that you play, the easier it is to jump onto that player and then force something to happen. Same thing in the reverse though. The closer you play to them, the easier it is, where if they get damage on you, like right here, they're able to jump on top of you and instantly start wrapping up that fight.
Rampart 1.
If they had played that a little bit differently, this team here, instead of climbing up all the way, right here, Watch how he starts moving up a little bit and exposes his whole body. He just put himself into the open. If instead what he had tried to do was just keep his body small and crouch into cover and popped back up, he could deal damage, keep himself safe, deal damage, keep himself safe, but he didn't. He opened his body to take tons of damage, and that led to a really easy push from Lemonhead and his teams. That was stupid. Waiting for his teammate. Right here, he literally just could have pulled out his Sheila, and keep in mind something here. Whenever we do damage to players, we want to push them. Whenever we take damage from players, they want to push us. So instead of doing the hardest part, which is moving through the open to go force damage, that team is going to do the hardest part for us. They're going to move through the open for us, and we're going to watch them while they do that. If he had been ready right here with his Sheila, and Lemonhead and his goons dropped down, he could have just went and just mowed them down.
Right here.
Same thing, dude. You cannot be just staying in the open. You cannot. It does not work. If you're going to be stopping in the open, it's already GG. You're moving through the open, you're never stopping in the open. Biggest mistake I see players make whenever I'm coaching them. Also, if you are interested in booking a coaching session because maybe you're having a hard time figuring out where you're lacking in specific, the link to book a session with me will be in the description down below. Coaching sessions are pretty affordable. They start at $25 for personal one-on-one sessions, and group sessions start at $7.50 for 4 classes a month, which each one being 1 hour. So for 4 hours of coaching, $7.50 is a fucking bargain compared to some of the other scams that you'll be seeing out there. Something else that I really like about Lemonhead is whenever he's aiming, whenever he's looking around, his crosshair is always looking at where players should be. What a lot of people do instead of that is they always try to move their crosshair to where someone is. So this is a weird thing to kind of think about, right? But for instance, right here, when Lemonhead is dropping down here, Lemonhead gets his big damage, and he goes to drop down, he's already looking at where this player should be. They should be underneath in this area, right? So as he comes, he only has to make small adjustments. What a lot of players would do instead is as they're falling down, they would be looking over here, and as they're getting close to the ground, or rather they'll be looking straight at the ground, watching the ground while they go and hit it. And then when they hit the ground, they have to make a big, massive adjustment.
I've never seen a Mirage.
Wants to keep his body moving, so he's just going to hit a very basic wall jump right. Holy shit, movement like this is absolutely crazy. But you know what's even more crazy? The fact that this is only possible on PC. Don't worry though, there's a solution to help you make the switch if you are still stuck on console. Apex Gaming PCs, the company that I trusted to build my 3 PC setups in Canada and in the USA, is taking 10% off their custom build and pre-build designs for the entire month of May. So if you've ever wanted to be the next Lemonhead, it's never too late. The link to check them out will be in the description down below, along with my coupon code COACH to save 10% off your entire order. Now let's keep looking at how Lemonhead is changing things up in Apex. Another wall jump to keep his momentum and keep him moving. Wall jump so that if he's going to stay in the open, he's going to be hard to hit.
Oh my god, you can.
And there you go. So right here, we'll be seeing Lemonhead is going to be doing his damage, trying to disengage those players. He realizes he's in a weird spot. He somehow got out of that ult. Wow. And now he's going to keep trying to put some pressure on. So he needs to kind of readjust, figure out what's happening. Everyone backed off. Oh, he found his team. Now he's going to be super engaged in that direction. He's always going to be looking in this direction, constantly putting pressure. The more pressure he puts, the less pressure this team can put on him, allowing him to make a move up possibly. Depending on where other teams are, he may or may not push this. He likes it. He knows he's not going to get 30'd. He's going to make a quick push here. He's going to keep that pressure on. Keep his body hard to hit while being stuck in the open.
I'm going back now.
Right balcony.
He does want to take a power spot here. Great damage. That 100 damage. That player can't aggressively hold them back. So he's going to be looking to hopefully swing in here.
I'm right here.
The closer you get, the easier it is to force. He's going to start forcing damage now. He's not going to wait to see people. He's going to make people look at him. Great damage. He's got tons of health. He's going to stay in this fight now. He doesn't need to back off.
Just run. I'm holding.
A fool. There you go. Swap. Outside, underneath.
Keeps his body moving. You'll constantly see him bunny hopping. And there it is. There's the bunny hops.
Just got fucking pooped on.
He wants to push people, right? Again, pushing is easier than reacting to something happening to you. When we push though, if we're a basic player, we need to push into cover, we need to play off of that cover. Lemonhead, again, I'm gonna keep saying it so that it really drills into your head, because I see you guys abusing tap strafing, bunny hopping and shit, and you have no idea what you're doing. He's using movement to stay in the open because he doesn't want to use cover. He wants to constantly keep pressure on his enemies so that they are in an uncomfortable position, always reacting to this random movement that is happening in front of them.
Get these guys off this weird ass spot.
We pop this mid real quick.
We have 44 seconds to
We're
do
not
this.
so
Oh my
much
God,
today
get
going to
on
be
one.
thinking
Tony's
about
got one.
rank positioning, but more so again,
Freaking
looking at
Iron Man,
how
Tony Stark.
a movement player pushes versus a professional Gamesense oriented player pushes.
Turn left.
Phenomenal.
Oh my God,
Crazy
it's such a
flick,
pass off.
Lemon.
Both of them.
Holy shit, just made my butthole pucker, bro. What the fuck? Let's look at the zone right here. Zone is probably going to be pulling more towards this top side. This top team here is going to have great position. They're going to be able to look down on everyone. Lemonhead here has two options. He's either going to make them, again, pressure them, disengage them, and push up on them, or he's going to wait until that team maybe has to move, and then he's just going to play off of them moving into the open. There it is. Lemonhead's going to start pressuring. This team's not looking at them, so he's going to make a move on them.
Going up. I'm going freaking
There it
airborne
goes.
here.
How does he stay in this
36
fight?
on conduit. 36 again.
Massive.
55 in this kid.
Stay stuck in the open. Fucks on him.
Nice.
Holy.
Get ready for the next team. Get ready.
Dude, if I was that guy right there, I would just run straight to the vet and go get myself neutered, because holy fuck, bro. Lemonhead just made him his bitch. That was crazy.
I'm here. I'm killing.
I'm breaking this.
On the stairs.
All right, Lemonhead, they're gonna get pushed by this other team. He needs to pressure and hold them off. His pressure makes them look away. With them looking away, he can swing in. Stays in the open, keeps himself moving. Bunny hop, tap strafing.
One more.
Perfect.
Right.
And he's really healthy, so he doesn't need to look away.
Wow, we are
Perfect,
nuts in this
dude.
video game.
That was a crazy game by Lemonhead. All right, that right there was one of 3 games in Lemonhead's video. If you guys want to go and check out the rest of that video right there and keep watching on how he's working his way in, taking these fights, working his way out, keeping his health up, getting kills, making it look so incredibly easy, go and check out his channel. I'll leave a link in the description down below for you guys to check that out. All right, next up we got the one and only his Watson. We're gonna be breaking down what exactly he's doing to, again, cover those very important aspects of an Apex Legends fight. All right, so we're landing here, and we are contested by another team. Something that you'll see a lot of people do is they always want to make sure that they start off high and work their way down low. This is going to be easier to push into players if they do choose to land underneath you. Right off the rip. I don't know what this team is doing, but for some reason they're just jumping right on his Watson. They're just literally giving him a free 3 KP right off the rip.
This guy sucks.
Something I just do want to point out is, you notice how as soon as those players landed and they realized that they're not really winning this fight, they're not, you know, getting any guns, they're in a shitty situation, they probably would have lost regardless. But they didn't back off. They stayed there and they locked themselves into a fight. So when we are losing as an average player who doesn't have the movement capabilities to get out of those fights, you know, instantaneously, you need to at the very least put some effort to back off, right? You being close is what's allowing players like his Watson right there to just shoot you non-stop. Now this fight here is just a bad example in general, because realistically you're not going to have people jumping on you when you have a rampage 35 bullets and they have their fists, right? So we're walking on in here into a POI that is contested with people, whether this be a third party or whether this just be a fight that we're walking on into. It's super important that there's gonna be something that is going to allow us to actually get close. If we just run through the open right here, these teams are gonna fry us. And now that we're fried, we're low health and we're close, it's gonna make it super easy for these teams to just jump on us and wrap that fight up, finish us off, get us killed. So let's see how his Watson here can work his way into this fight, because when we look at Lemonhead just uses movement to get in, right? He's impossible to touch, and now he's in your face and you still can't touch him. So how does his Watson, a player who is less movement based and more game sense based, work his way in? He sees that there's a team here, applying pressure from where he can. His Watson's just really good at finding those little tiny angles. Something else I want you to kind of pay attention to here. Watch how his Watson will always keep a team in front of him. A lot of players interject themselves into the fight. And now that they're in the middle of something, they have people to the left, to the right, in front, above. But when you're playing like his Watson, and no matter what you do, no matter where you move, you're keeping everything in front of you, because you have a little bit of space between you, it allows you to always be engaged, because there's always going to be something in front of you and not constantly shit in all these different directions. So again, the closer you play, the harder it is. Great damage. That player's going to look away. That's a reason for his teammate or for someone on this team to get pushing up right here.
He's probably batted by now. I'm batting.
Notice how as soon as his Watson got off that damage and he called out, hey, that player's super hurt, Hootie here is able to now push on in. If that player doesn't have the health to be engaged and fight, he has to disengage. Hootie can now work his way in. Even though he didn't do anything crazy, he's just swinging on in. Also, Hootie had more health than that player did. That player got hit for close to 150. He was very low flesh. Hootie walked in with almost full shield, his Revenant Evo shield, which is an extra 75. He's basically pushing in with red armor in this situation. When you have such a big health advantage over someone, you can over challenge and stay stuck in front of them. When we have an advantage, we want to lock people into a disadvantage. So whatever it is that is giving you an edge in that fight, if it's your health, whatever, if it's your cover, you want to use and abuse that and punish people for not having that against you.
I'm gonna ult you in a second.
Hootie locked him into the open.
I'm ulting that.
Two people, 2v2. What happens here?
Oh, I just knocked him off.
Knocks him off.
I'm gonna res.
That player gets disengaged.
Oh, I don't have gold.
He just stays looking at that individual because he has so much more health against him. Again, the quicker that you can react to the things that are happening around you, the easier it's going to be for you to capitalize off of them. All right, team in front of us, they're engaging with us. Our goal right now is obviously to get close, finish this fight, kill them. How are we going to be getting close, being that we are a slow moving legend like Newcastle? We're looking at where they are, we're engaging with them. His Watson is also really good at understanding if he does something, how is the player gonna have to react to that, right? So carrying around things like grenades or, you know, having your abilities and using them is super important. Right now, his Watson, he thermited him. He knows that this player can no longer play his cover, whether it be an arc star, a frag, an ability, right? That player's gonna have to move. His Watson knows that he can get some really good damage off of that. And now he knows with that awesome damage, that player or that team won't be able to hold them as much. And now he can start working his way in. Nothing crazy here, but what is he going to do when he gets close? Holds that player on his cover, swings in because he was pushing him away from him. And now he can start committing more and more and more. He can start breaking the rules of not staying in the open because he's creating more and more advantages. Something else that his Watson does a lot is he puts himself into positions where if he's going to take a fight,
I don't know if I want to get off or not.
it's going to be easier for him to leave his position and push
Really early if I want to stream.
than it's going to be for a team to leave their position and push him. For instance, high ground is the best example of this. It's always easier to jump down than it is to climb up. And I guess it's just going to come down to it's the very last team, last player. Let's see how his Watson kind of handles this here. Again, starting off with lots of space, as always, right? It's going to make it hard for this team to push them because there's just so much space between them.
Hard.
Great damage, and off that damage, they start working their way in a little bit closer. Imagine if they had just pushed this team from the get-go, right? Oh, there's a team over here. Rush, rush, rush. As you're moving up, you're getting fried. So again, your engagement here, as simple as shooting your gun is and holding your corners and looking at this team, your engagement disengages players, allows you to get closer. His Watson sees them again, holding that team back, keeping them locked into that spot with all these nades, pressuring them, and then they're able to just use that to now they can just ape on them. They can break all the rules. They can just jump on them. And because they're close, it's easier to force yourself onto players where you can make damage happen. GG. All right, that last his Watson clip was pretty short. A lot of his fights were really easy because he kind of just walked into third parties. So we'll watch another one here. We'll watch another game from his stream. We'll kind of see how he plays in these situations. His Watson knows that there's a team here. He's going to be engaged with them.
Two of them maybe did.
I think all of them did.
They have a caustic too.
Tied to their corners.
Left wing's corner, fuck it, bro.
He's going to swing, make them react.
Blown it off. Put a wall there, if you can. I can't see.
Awesome, they're putting pressure. This team has to back
Jumping
off.
forward.
Now they can use that to start walking up. Notice how there just wasn't any bullets flying towards where his Watson and his team were playing. Even though this team was playing defensive, they were playing super passive. Now again, maybe this was just simply because this team didn't have any loot. Maybe this team wasn't able to fight back for whatever reason. Also, pay attention to how right now they're playing close. But the people who are trying to be pushing in is his Watson. And they're doing whatever they can. They're keeping pressure on the door. They're breaking off the doors. They're trying to put up walls. They're trying to slow this team down. This other team isn't doing anything other than constantly backing up. They're not trying to put pressure so that they can advance forward, which is making their up-close fights really hard for that opposing team. It's making it really easy for his Watson. So we're going to be peeking here. Off some damage. Those players are going to want to step back a little bit. And that is more of an opportunity for you to keep working your way in more and more and more.
Okay, stand so hard. What's it cracked?
As soon as that team right there realized that they lost control of that door because the grenade was getting thrown or there was, walls
That's a
being
comp
put
we
up,
need to be playing.
right? Then they need to make sure that they are completely backing away. Because again, they stayed close and they let his Watson make one push that led to them getting swung and being forced into the open. All right, so that right there was his Watson, one of the #1 pros in the world, his gameplay on how he kind of takes his fights. So what are some of the main differences between a movement player and a professional, more game sense oriented player? And most players are going to be that second option right there. As a movement player, if you notice that someone isn't even looking at you, for instance, someone's in a third party or maybe someone's holding a position, but they're just not engaged with you, like the very end of that Lemonhead segment, it's going to be very easy for you to just make a very quick push and get into a situation where you can force something to happen. Versus a pro team or a team that is typically going to be moving around a lot slower, if you were to try to make that same push, you wouldn't be able to do it quick enough to the point where you wouldn't get looked at as you make that cross through the open, which makes it even more important that your pressure disengages players, and not so much that they just don't look at you, but that they can't look at you. A lot of the fights that we saw with his Watson, they exchanged damage for quite a while, but it was off of the big damage, the damage where you can't peek back quite aggressively, that let him actually move up and finish those fights. If you're going to be a movement legend, you need to make sure that you make quick pushes off of general disengagement. If you're a more game sense oriented player, you need to make sure that players cannot look at you while you make those moves because you're going to be so much slower. We saw a lot of the time his Watson was getting pushed. Even though he's not a movement player, he almost always tried to remove himself out of that fight. Whether it be something as simple as stopping the peak that he's on and going back into cover, or whether it be holstering his weapon to run and move faster so that he can maneuver himself out of those very crazy situations. And even though sometimes he wasn't able to get away with it because either the layout of the map or other players were movement legends and they were able to get on top of him really fast, whatever it was, at the very least he makes those attempts to not die, to be able to reset, and with that reset hopefully be able to re-engage, pressure players, and work his way back into that fight with an advantage. And that is the exact same thing for movement players like Lemonhead. When they notice that they're not comfortable in those fights, they never stay. Sometimes they do, and oftentimes they lose. But almost always they do a great job of keeping their body moving using momentum keeping mechanics. Now, if you don't know what momentum keeping mechanics are, do not worry. I have a whole video coming really soon on this. So again, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel to be notified when videos like this are published. And as well, make sure to like the video so that YouTube will actually show you these on your homepage whenever you log into Apex or whenever you log into YouTube to get better at Apex Legends. And again, if you are interested in booking a coaching session with me, you can do that by clicking the link in the description down below or by clicking the pinned comment on this video. Now, that is all for today, gang. Remember, do not quit because it only gets easier from here. Appreciate you guys, love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.